we can all be open at all times to growth for the sake of our own growth and development and contentment and joy and happiness and fulfillment and all of those things without it being a reflection of keeping up with someone else or matching someone else.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Welcome to the show, friend. My new best friend, Lindsey's with me today, and we've been chatting away, and we really want to focus on social pressure. We have social pressure from the other moms around our kids. We have social pressure from social media, but we have a lot of social pressure at the office. What's acceptable? What's not acceptable? How you can act and what other people might think of you. And how do we deal with that? You know, it's somebody else's expectation. Do we really need to be that way? And how do we even identify it? Is it something that's not us? I know that's a lot, but Lindsey is full of wisdom in this area. And I am so excited because I definitely feel social pressure daily. And I'm not around that many people every day, but I always feel like I have to measure up. And so how do I make sure that I'm using my measuring stick next time we try to measure up? So the information about Lindsey is in the show notes. And let's jump right in, Lindsey, and help me be okay with using my own measuring stick for my value and not all these things I see on social media and in the workplace.
Hey, Laura. Well, me too. It would be so hard to be insulated from that experience, you know? As you point out, social pressure just means pressure that's from social points, and social points are people. And we're surrounded by people, right? Literally, physically. And I don't know about, I'm not in an office either, but I haven't escaped social pressure yet, even by not being in an office. Because I'm exposed to so many people and the way people think and feel and what they're saying ought to be. You know, you and I were chatting just a few minutes ago about how everybody is inundated with everybody else's should be's, right? As soon as people show up, and maybe it's a passive should be, like it's something they're doing, or maybe it's something they're actively saying, hey, have you tried or have you considered trying? You know, there are lots of ways that the social pressure leverage gets leveraged, but I don't know anybody who's immune from it. And that's even before we start talking about social media, right? We're just in the mix with people. And when people are doing things or trying things, and that seems to be getting them certain results that maybe we want or we think we might want, or maybe we think we ought to consider wanting, we're naturally going to feel some pressure to adopt that for ourselves or try on the idea of adopting it for ourselves. So I think anybody who's exposed to other people is exposed to social pressure for sure.
Yeah, it could be as minor as we're all sitting around and someone tells a joke and I don't get it and everybody's laughing and I'm like, what's funny? Oh, I better just laugh. Instead of asking, I better just laugh. And it's like, why do I need to be like everybody else? It doesn't matter.
It's so true. And most of us, I think, still retain these sort of remnants, these very, very, very old remnants of really wanting to be accepted by the tribe. And the tribe being any group of people, right, at any given time, whether that's the people that we're sitting around a lunch table with or a conference table with, or your family or your friends or your professional organization with 56 letters after it, whatever the case is. we want to feel like we're safely in the tribe. And to feel safely in the tribe means to often feel pressured to do what the tribe is doing, whether we get it or not, or whether it feels like it fits us or not, or whether it's congruent with our sort of internal values, let alone our external lives. Most of us feel like we better be with the program about what all these other people are doing.
Well, it's so instinctual. I mean, it is what we are meant. I mean, there was a time in our life, if we didn't belong to a tribe or if we weren't accepted, we were kicked out. And we didn't have the ability to really survive. I should say thrive. We didn't have the ability to thrive on our own. You really needed a tribe. Today with DoorDash and taxis and you can survive on your own all by your well, I guess technically not because those people are still coming to your house. So you still have to somehow interact with other people. But we don't need to do that level anymore. If we're kicked out of one tribe, there are many more right by. If one tribe doesn't fit, who does? How do we find someone that has the same likes and dislikes as I do so I don't feel like I have to change?
That's such a good question. And I think, to loop back just a second, I like to say it's like we have this very old hardware that's trying to run new software. Right. And
Yes.
so to your point, most of us would be okay on our own, so to speak. But the lizard brain, the really old software doesn't know that, right? It just knows that back in the good old bad old days, if you got kicked out of the tribe, you were probably as good as that. I mean, there was at one point in time, there was a literal survival issue at stake, right? And we might even observe that human infants are still very dependent on the tribe and really small children. I mean, most 5-year-olds can make themselves a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but above and beyond that, they still need the big
But
people.
somebody needs to get the stuff in the house.
That's
So
right.
they are
Somebody had to get
still
that skipping.
dependent on surviving. But we're adults now. And why do
That
I
old brain.
feel when I'm at the office that I need to be like, I understand modeling. I understand looking at those people that are top performers and picking out things that you can adopt from them, but we don't have to be them.
It's so true. It's so true. And many of us seem to struggle with this sort of sense that if we don't replicate that thing, then we can't replicate those results, right? This one person is doing this one thing, and maybe that's something on their career path, or maybe that's a way of dressing, or a way of eating, or a way of exercising. And that is the thing that will lead to those results that I also aspire to. And I think one of the greatest pieces of wisdom that's underrated is that many roads lead to Rome. And it's
Yes.
wonderful, right? If someone's figured out what works for them and that's getting them a result. And also, you can get that result too, and you don't have to do it their way. There are so many pathways that are unique to our own individual personalities and strengths and fears and vulnerabilities that still are completely viable for getting those results. It doesn't mean that that person over there who got the results has figured out the magic way, the yellow brick road to Oz that you need to now hoof it down in exactly the same sort of way. But it's tempting. It's tempting to see that and go, those are the results I want. Ergo, I will replicate what that person is doing, even when it doesn't fit like on the inside.
And you're replicating what you see.
Yes.
You don't know what's inside and what they contemplate and do that's not visual.
It's so true.
And so there may be that special thing that you already have that is the key.
Yes.
And you're looking at the outside and what you see as, oh, that's how he does it. No, you know what? The most successful people are the people who are true to themselves because there's less stress. You don't have to worry about it. It's like, I know this is the way I am. I'll use this one because this one's one I think a lot of people could relate to is there's a lot of grammar police and spelling police out there. And I am not good at those. It's something I really rely on, spell check. Thank God it came out of, when I first started my career, there was nothing like that. But I would sit in meetings knowing, taking notes, everybody sees them on the overhead, and knowing that I was going to get a comment from somebody. And this one person would always say, Jane, you're killing me. I'm trying to be quiet. And I says, it's okay. If you really have to tell me, I can fix it now, but it'll be fixed before it goes out. And that social pressure of being okay with it. At first, it devastated me and I didn't know how to deal with it. But once I owned it and I said, okay, this isn't my strong point, but is it making me less productive in actually delivering? No, it just took another minute after I got out of the meetings to go through and fix everything. So own your weakness and your strength because that's where you come from. And some people's weaknesses aren't as visual as that because they're not having to take notes in front of everybody.
It's so true. It's so true. There's a wonderful story example about that I love from one of my favorite thinkers. His name is Dr. Stephen Hayes. He's the founder of ACT, and he tells this really interesting anecdote. He loves college basketball, and he talks about how the greatest coaches are the ones who can pick out players who have figured out how to be successful in their own way. And it doesn't matter if when they go for a layup, they're doing something crazy back here or it doesn't matter. If the ball goes in the hoop, that's what matters. And the good coaches go, the ball went in the hoop. I don't care how you got the ball in the hoop. Ball went through the hoop. That's what basketball's about. That's how basketball games are won, right? And some of these players who are tremendously successful at the college level did not come up through the sort of like standard, I played basketball in high school and, Division One, whatever all that is. I know nothing about sports. I don't know if it's patently obvious at this point, but they didn't come up through sort of that classic training trajectory. But at the end of the day, they're putting the ball through the hoop. And that's what matters in college basketball. So really, I think getting radically, gleefully comfortable with how I do things and how I'm successful and what's congruent with my values and my internal world, to your point, which may or may not line up with somebody else's external metrics. If I'm getting the ball through the hoop, that's what I care about. That's where my values are. It doesn't matter how I got the ball through the hoop.
That's funny because there was an individual, this is a long time ago, that I just thought, oh, they just waste time. They're sitting around and waste time. And I wrote a note to their manager and it's like, hey, so-and-so, it's just waste time. And then it dawned on me that I don't know if she's producing. I immediately, probably 30 minutes later, sent a retraction. Hey, if you are getting the results you expect from her, I'm okay with what she does. If you aren't, then I can talk to you. And I just I don't know. I do things, I doodle instead of take notes because if I'm focusing on how to spell something, my brain is lost. But people feel like I'm not listening because I'm doodling. But I have the results to show I heard it all and I understood it all. So they might not do it my way. And I shouldn't give them the pressure to be like me. Well, I don't want anybody to have to not spell and doodle all the time if they don't like it. But it's just those simple things of, why am I judging when they could completely be knocking it out the park of what's expected of them?
Sure. Yeah. And it's so hard. I think we all have had the experience. It's hard to sort of muster the courage sometimes to go, and this is the way I do things, and check back in with me and see if you like the results, right? And then we can have a conversation about how I do it if the result is not what we need. But otherwise, this is how I do it, and it's okay that I don't do it quite like that person, and they don't do it quite like I do. That's okay.
You give them a deadline, and if they make it, great. If not, did I not give you enough time? Should you have told me ahead of time? What is this? There's a whole piece that, when it all comes back to social pressure, we have to do our job, but we don't have to do it exactly like Henry over there did or John over there did. We can make it our way. And if you want to eat lunch at your desk, eat lunch at your desk. If you want to eat lunch with the guys out at the restaurant every day, eat lunch with the guys every day. There's no social pressure either way. It's, are you getting your job done and are you happy?
Right. Right. And, it's interesting. I was thinking recently about, I don't know if this is still a trend, but for a while, uh, amber necklaces for young children, for toddlers, infants. There was a thing about amber necklaces and amber necklaces being a way of soothing your baby. And first it started with the amber necklaces. And then there was like this absolute ideological throwdown about which amber necklace was the right amber necklace, right? And it was all the things you could imagine. It was whose brand, whose shape, whose all the variables that one could come up with about an amber necklace were discussed and debated at length, right? And there was this deep sense of investment in the amber necklace. And if these new moms were terrorized by this idea of not getting the right one. Like if they didn't get the right amber necklace, then they wouldn't get the right results, whatever that was promised to be about the amber necklace in your young child. I don't know. And it's very interesting because for most of human history, there were no amber necklaces on babies.
The babies do just fine.
It would appear that many, many babies grow up to be just fine. Millions and billions, in fact, of babies grow up to be just fine with no amber necklaces. And yet, these poor women would just be like terrorized by this social pressure to do the right thing, capital TR, the right thing, TRT, as it applied to amber necklaces. And because there were so many voices shouting at them, not the least of which were people selling the amber necklaces, need I write to everybody about which, and then you would have columnists, right? And you would have podcasters, and you would have your friends and your mommy's group and your church group, and everybody had an opinion about the amber necklace, and it was just absolute terrorizing for these poor people. And I think about that, and I think about all the people I knew who just tied themselves into knots under this social pressure of the amber necklace for a new baby. And at the end of the day, I don't know that anybody can conclusively say that the amber necklaces did one thing or another, but I know it caused a lot of misery for a lot of women who felt pressured to keep up with.
Yeah, if I don't have one, I'm not being a good mom. If I have the wrong one, I'm not being a good mom. And our whole goal is to raise our children to be productive citizens, to be able to be on their own. And if this amber necklace is going to make the difference, I better get one.
I better get one.
And, this is just one little thing. I mean, think about AI as the new trend. Which AI do I use? Which AI do I not use? If I use it, I'm bad. If I don't use it, I'm bad. If I, it's just kind of this terrorizing moment of, do I want to argue with somebody over my thoughts of AI? Do I support it? Do I not? Will I be shunned? And you just go, who cares?
Right. Well, yeah. And I think on some level, there's a second tier effect that happens because I think many of us get past the who care. We get to the who cares point, but then there's this second level anxiety, at least for myself, where I go, well, I'm okay telling somebody else I can't deal with this right now, or I don't care to deal with this, or this doesn't interest me. But then I have this moment of like, I might call it anticipatory future casting regret. I know it's a mouthful, but that's what it feels like. Where I say to myself, but what if 10 years from now, I'm really sorry that I didn't get on that bandwagon? What if this has deep ramifications that I didn't get the amber necklace, or I didn't go with AI and get trained in, using AI or adopt the latest software or do the latest thing? What if I have kind of like this buyer's remorse that I didn't buy, not buyer's remorse, 10 years down the road? And we can really make ourselves bananas with that, because if we're looking backward and going like, okay, what am I going to regret 5-10 years from now if I don't do it now? Holy cow, that's a can of worms, right? We can open that thing in about every direction. All we can really do is say like, at this time, what's congruent with my internal world right now? right? That's really I don't have any information about 5 years from now. I have less information about 10 years from now. I have some pretty good information about right now. And I have some pretty good information about whether any one thing, an Amber Necklace or AI certifications or anything in my relationships or career or world or relationships feels congruent in this moment with my values and who I am and what I cherish and what's important to me. And I can make different decisions tomorrow if it strikes me as, some tomorrow AI seems like the answer, I can make a different decision, but I can't anticipate how I'm going to feel 5 or 10 years from now. And trying to do so is a little bit of an exercise in vexation.
And it all is a type of social pressure. If you didn't feel the pressure, you wouldn't care.
It's so
Like,
true.
go ahead, use AI. Go ahead, don't use AI. Doesn't matter to me. But the second we question who we are because somebody else is different, that's social pressure.
It's so
And
true.
it's no matter what it is. Like I said, it could be as simple as uh, he wears a belt every day, he doesn't. Which one's right?
Yeah.
Why do people wear belts? Why do people not wear belts?
She's
I
taking
don't care.
he's taking this kind of Pilates class or this bar class. Should I be taking that bar class instead of my Pilates class or vice versa, right? Every time there's a new fitness thing or a new health thing. And it's a fire hose. I mean, we're drinking from a fire hose in terms of being exposed to this thing we're not doing, right? We can only do X number of things and make certain number of choices,
Right.
which leaves us open to an unlimited number of like, well, should I have done the other thing on any given day, which is exhausting.
It can come, make it as simple as our diet choice, you know. And if you're not vegan, you're not kind to all living life. If you're not this, if you're not, you're killing animals unconditionally. Unnecessarily. That was a weird word.
Also,
Anyway,
possibly unconditionally. This could be both.
but in my little family, we have a carnivore who hasn't touched anything but beef for over a year. And that is his choice. And I'm talking my siblings. We have vegetarians, we have keto, we have you name it. We all have that special diet. I asked my doctor once, what's the best diet that I should be on for my sugar diabetes? And he said, the one you will stick with. You know,
Amen.
it doesn't matter. They're all going to give you results. They're all going to help. Which one do you feel morally comfortable with? Uh,
Mhm.
Which one do you feel like I can do all this prep work and stick with? What is it? Or do I buy Factor in the mail so I don't have to think about it? What is yours? What is right for you?
What
And
works for you?
just like my
Yes.
doctor said, in every situation, not just your diet plan, the one you will stick with, the one
Yes.
you feel comfortable with, the thing that helps you. And as long as we want to be like somebody else because they look better on social media, you're always going to have that pressure. But is it okay to just be me? And me, I like red hair, so I dye mine. I have another friend that thinks that dyeing is stupid. I have a sister that won't do it because she wants to be natural. I'm okay. It doesn't matter. If I feel more vibrant
Mm.
because I have something I've changed, that helps me. It doesn't help anybody else. What color my hair is doesn't matter to
It shouldn't impact
anybody
anybody
else.
else. Right.
It's what makes me feel comfortable. And so it's when you can identify those things that you like. My sister that wants to be 100% natural vegan, not ever touch, she won't even take any medicine from a doctor. That's her choice. She's choosing that lifestyle. I don't think she's weird or bad. I choose different. And when we can have that with the other people in our lives, our coworkers, our people in the grocery store line, when you can accept them, you start accepting yourself because you realize it's not important.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true. And It's also interesting when we think about, there's ambient social pressure, right? Like you see somebody doing something else and you wonder if that's what you ought to be doing. But then there's that other less ambient social pressure. And I think you're sort of pointing to that implicitly, which is sometimes other people are looking for a kind of validation about what they're doing. And if there's one human validation metric, it's numbers of people doing what I'm doing. Feels
Yes.
reassuring, right? And I think often, it's not that people are intentionally trying to pressure other people or they're intentionally trying to force something uncomfortable on someone else. It's that without even knowing it, they're looking for reassurance about this choice that they've made. And other people making the same choice feels reassuring, right? So, you can think about, I mean, there's so many examples of this. You think about people who, decide to get a certification or a certificate, right, in something or in related to their career, their line of work, and then all of a sudden they're rallying other people to do it. Don't you want to get your PM, or don't you want to get your Agile, or don't you want to get your Scrum? Like they're rallying people. You kind of go, are you getting a kickback for like getting more people into this or what? And they're not, except they kind of are emotionally. Because the more people that do the thing, the better they feel about doing the thing, right? It's reassuring, oh, I must be doing the right thing if all these other people are doing the right thing, right? And so I think we can also, when we have the sense that maybe somebody is inadvertently creating a little social pressure for us, we can almost look back at them with compassion and go, oh, you're seeking reassurance about the decision you've made. Oh, that's so human. I get that. I totally get that. I too want to feel good about the decisions I've made, especially if I'm just a scotch bit insecure about it, right? Like everybody wants just a scotch bit of reassurance when they're feeling a scotch bit insecure, and getting other people to co-sign, which sometimes looks like signing up or whatever the thing is. I can think of times when, one of my friends has started something new exercisey that's expensive, and they buy a 10 punch or card or whatever it is. And all they're this, I'm like, yeah, you should get one too. You should get it. You should buy a 10 punch card and come with me to the thing. Because they're trying to reassure themselves that they've made a good decision. And it would be reassuring to them if I also would go drop X number of dollars and get that punch card.
And they have someone to go with. They don't have
That
to go
too,
alone if
yes.
you have one too.
Which is very, very validating.
Lindsay, I have loved everything we've talked about. And I'm just really kind of like feeling the core of social pressure. There's so many external influences, but we also are influencing other people by the way we are. And if we can be comfortable with all of our quirks and not measure up, we're giving other people the opportunity to feel confident in being themselves. The more people that I can have a safe place for and say, your value, just like you are. If you want to have a smoother path, if you want to have changes, I'm here to support those. If you don't, I'm okay. But if everybody had that type of reaction, I'm not saying I'm perfect, because yes, you're going to be able to find reasons why it wouldn't work, but it's going to take away some of the social pressure. But once you do, marketing's not going to work. Once you do, all these things like, I don't need that. Yeah, my baby's just fine.
Yes, it's so true. My eyelashes are just fine, and the joggers I'm wearing are just fine. Yeah, I need no upgrades.
And it's great both ways. Like I'm saying, you're going to have the social pressure. But when you allow other people to be their unique self, you give yourself that window to be your unique self. And it really boils down to what you want. How do I want to behave? Do I want to look and feel like everybody else? If everybody wanted to be a lawyer, we wouldn't have anybody being farmers. We wouldn't have anybody being ranchers. We wouldn't have anybody running our ice cream store, because we're all lawyers. And so it's really looking at our differences and realizing to have a tribe, we have to have different strengths and
Mhm.
different ways of going and looking at things, not just going about things, but when you can open up and see other people's points of view, it really does make a clearer view of everything. If you look at the meme with the 6 or the 9 in between two people that are arguing over what it is, when you see their perspective, you can go, "Oh, I get it."
Mm.
And it's that it's easy to say, not do. But as we can say, how are they looking at this? I get it. They're seeing it from a different angle than I am. It's same with our politics. It's different angles.
Mm.
What works for me may not work for you. Does it mean we're all wrong? No, it just means we're all different.
Yeah, there's such an element of appreciation in that, right? It's this core ability to appreciate, I think appreciation, if you look it up, has like a couple different, it's like 3 to 4 actually definitions, sort of forms. But to be able to appreciate that someone is coming from someplace differently than you are, or doing something differently, or making a different choice without personalizing that and making it about you. That there, if you can truly appreciate what someone else is doing on their own terms, it's just about them. That is not a referendum on you in any way, shape, or form. The only person holding referendums on you is you, right?
Absolutely.
And
Well, there
and
might be some people that are asking for them, but you don't have
or
to do it.
or pretending, but you don't have to sign on for that, right? It's up to you if you co-sign on
Right.
that. So the ability to be okay with other people having vastly different perspectives or opinions or whatever it is, and go like, okay, that's your thing. And that is not about me. And that's not about me changing or shifting. Now, if there's something about where I'm at and where you're at creates some growth opportunity for me to reflect on my own internal world and then that's a different story, right? If someone else's differences elicits, I think, in us, or even provokes in us reflection about ourselves, and that's a wonderful thing. That's called a growth opportunity. But that's completely different than feeling pressured or obligated to go along with somebody else's difference.
That resonates so comfortably. Yeah, it's like that makes so much sense. It's just, wouldn't it be great if we all could just love ourselves so much?
Yes. Yes, I think that would be fantastic.
But we
Tremendous.
also, I do like seeing other things because I don't want to stay stagnant. And if I can find, hey, that looks like something I would like to have, it's okay to do that. But if you're thinking, do I need to do that to be acceptable? Then it's social pressure. And it's like, be okay with changes. Be okay with not mocking, but copying what somebody else did. It's what you choose your life to be like,
For
not
you.
what you
Yes.
feel like it needs to be like for somebody else.
Yes, 100%. I love that. I love the idea that, you know, we can all be open at all times to growth for the sake of our own growth and development and contentment and joy and happiness and fulfillment and all of those things, without it being a reflection of keeping up with someone else or matching someone else, or sort of racing to some imaginary finish line where certain things get more credit than others. We're all running our own race here, right? And the idea that we're running a race against other people on any of these fronts is such an illusion. It's such an illusion, right? It's just you and you. It's just you and you. It's just me and me. And when we feel obligated or compelled to change in the direction of someone else's change because we see it and we go, oh, well, maybe I should be doing that, or that seems better. That's completely different from what you were pointing to, which is going like, huh, does that resonate with me? Is that something that I would like to cultivate in my life? Because I think it would make my life more enriched, deeper, depthier, broader, whatever the case may be. Then that's a wonderful reason to have a look at what somebody else is doing and be curious about it. But it's a curiosity born of a desire to expand one's own world where helpful, not a desire to keep up with other people or to match other people somehow.
It sounds so perfect. Like, now if I can just make it happen. Just let all that social pressure go. But, experience it and then know that it's okay to be you. So let's go ahead and wrap up. Let's get a quick word from our sponsor. When we come back, let's hear a little bit about you, Lindsey, and what's that one thing that we can do. So we'll be right back.
This is Adam Adams, co-founder of Optimized LLC, where we take the guesswork out of your health. If you're feeling exhausted, struggling with weight, or just not feeling yourself anymore, your hormones might be the problem. And that's why we test, not guess. Analyzing your blood work to pinpoint exactly what's holding you back. At Optimized LLC, we help you rebalance your hormones, boost energy, and reclaim your life. Don't settle for normal. Aim for optimized. Just go to optimize.com to book your free introductory coaching call. It's a free call to help you take the first step toward feeling your best.
All right. Lindsey, help me know a little bit more about you, what you do, and what's one thing we can try this week to help us release some of that social pressure.
Well, I'm a therapist and I'm a speaker and I'm an author and I love nature and I love people. And I love books and I love writing and I love conversation. And that is me in a nutshell. And I love stories. I really, really, really love stories. And I love hearing about other people's stories. And I love watching people experience stories and rewrite their stories and discover that they can create their story as they go, that it is not written for them, that they're holding the quill plume, so to speak. I think that's just absolutely magical to witness. I think if there's one thing that really speaks to me about recognizing and withstanding social pressure, it is that our feelings are really important barometers. But sometimes I think we mistake what they are barometers of. And it's easy to say, oh, I feel jealous or envious of that person's something. The raise, the promotion they just got, the raise they just got, the life milestone, the outfits, the house, all the things that we're talking about social pressure, right? And we go like, oh, I should have that. I'm behind. And I think if we can slow down and sort of distill out the thinkings, all of that word salad that I just said, from the feelings, and set the thinkings aside and be curious about the feelings, and which most of us struggle to do. It's very interesting. In contemporary nomenclature, you often hear people say, I feel like I really should. And then they say a thought. They say, I feel, and then they finish the statement with a thought, as opposed to saying, I feel happy, mad, sad, bad, betrayed, disappointed, rejected, confused, joyous, right? We're actually quite out of practice of labeling and identifying our feelings beyond thinkings. But if we can slow down and try and label those feelings with some degree of granularity, then we can get really curious about what it is that would actually be a viable response to those feelings. Because as we all know, let's take a classic cartoonish example. If you see someone else getting out of their fancy sports car and you feel a stab of something, I can guarantee you that getting a fancy sports car is not going to solve that stab. Maybe temporarily, but the stab you feel when you see somebody getting out of a fancy sports car that you don't have is not going to be solved in the long term by you also having a fancy sports car. And when we don't slow down to identify the feelings related to that stabbing feeling, for example, then it's too easy to get caught up in the thinking part, which is sports car. There's the answer. I need one of those, right? When we slow down and dial into what's actually happening emotionally for us, there's incredible data there about what we really need. And what we really need is never a sports car, so to speak, or any of those other things we point to as eliciting those feelings. And so my 100,000-foot view piece of advice is slow down and listen to your feelings and try and separate out the sort of problem-solving chatter of the brain, the thinking that's like, oh, okay, I see how you feel. Let's solve that problem. I'll tell you how to solve the problem. Go and get a sports car. Then that is all a distraction. It's absolutely a distraction from what's really going on. And when we sit long enough with the feelings and we get clear enough about what the feelings are, then we can start to really identify pathways forward that will really make us feel better, not temporarily anesthetized from the original feeling, which is what the sports car does, is it anesthetizes whatever just got kicked up in you.
I don't feel successful. He looks successful. I want to look successful. But really, the feeling is, how do I change the feeling behind that? How do I feel successful? And it's okay to have a sports car. It's okay not to.
100%.
Doesn't matter. It's how you feel about you is what really matters.
100%. And we can say all the famous cliche things about folks who struggle with imposter syndrome, which is like no amount of McLaren F1, which is, as far as I know, the fanciest sports car there is, ever made anybody not feel like an imposter when they didn't feel successful on the inside. Now they feel worse because actually they have a trapping of the ultimate success and they still don't feel successful on the inside. And now they feel worse because they feel like they're actually posing even more with this additional trapping of success. So it's a really interesting sort of refracting hall of mirrors conundrum that we get ourselves into when we try and solve our internal world with external world solutions. They don't line up. They never line up.
I agree. If you're not feeling it on the inside, doesn't matter what you put on the outside.
100%.
One of my gripes over the world is we hear all these commercials about men's hormone levels and how they can feel better. But we get makeup and lashes and hair color to make us feel better. What about our insides? We get the marketing that if you look good or look like the magazine says you're supposed to, then you're okay. But guys, you can fix the inside. It's okay. I'm like, we need to fix our insides no matter what it is. So yes, it's how do we tune into that? So this week we're going to identify the feeling behind those spats of jealousy or social pressure or those I need to do this so that I look better or feel better. What is the feeling behind it? What is it? So I love
what do you
that
really
was
need?
intended. Yeah.
What do you need? What do you need? Not what does culture around you tell you need. Not what does the beauty aisle at Walgreens tell you need. What do you need? Because only you know that, right? Like
Right.
only you and you know that. The Walgreens lash aisle doesn't know what you need. They'd like you to think that they do, but they really have no way of knowing that.
And
You're
if you
guardian.
love what you look like with lashes, do it. Just do it because it's you, not because somebody else said. And I don't want people to feel like I'm dishing on makeup and eyes and hair and our body image or how we a person, because that is part of us.
Sure.
But you're doing it for you? Would you do this if you never left the house for 30 days and nobody was going to come around? Then it's you.
Then it's you. Yes.
So
Amen.
it's like, look at it and be you and experiment with the things that make you you. Because you might think, I want to try blue hair for a while. And then you realize it's not you. It's what is you?
Well,
And
maybe it's you for a snapshot in time, and that's fine too because we're all
oh,
evolving.
we evolve. And yes, it's fun
Yes.
to evolve and sometimes painful,
Yes.
but we
Yes.
get to do it. And you've survived every painful moment of your life. You're going to continue to survive as long as you choose. So thank you, Lindsey, so much for coming onto the show and sharing your wisdom and bringing to light such an amazing topic that is important for us to identify and to understand where it's coming from. So friend Lindsey and I are not here for medical or mental advice. We are here for entertainment. People have found ways to smooth our own path and would love to help you smooth yours. So thank you for joining and stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.